When you look into my eyes, you understand what I'm saying? Let me say it to you slowly, and it may sound scandalous. I don't think that you can handle this.
All right, let's go to Monday night doubleheader, game 1. Mike Steph's favorite team, the 0-3 New York Jets, are heading to Miami to face the 0-3 Miami Dolphins. The Dolphins are 2.5-point favorites, while the projected total is 45.5 points. That means Vegas are telling us that the Jets will score 21.5 in a losing effort versus the Dolphins 24. As far as injuries, Miami actually has somebody coming back. Darren Waller will make his debut. He's been out a year and now 4 weeks after retiring from the Giants. Mike Steph, what do you think about this game? Do your Jets have a chance?
First and foremost, I'm going to continue some of the injury updates of my New York Jets. Safety, Tony Adams, is questionable with the hip injury. Wide receiver, Josh Reynolds, is questionable with a hamstring. Cornerback, Sauce Gardner is also questionable with the groin injury. Yeah, we are the walking wounded. Yeah, I'm putting this out. Jermaine Johnson, who missed last week's game, is listed as questionable. Quincy Williams, one of our starting linebackers, is questionable with the shoulder injury. I had to get that out there because if we're going to talk about injuries,
Time out. Since we're going in that direction, the reason I don't list all of these questionable things is because we're recording so early. Everybody's listed as questionable. I think you are copying excuses for your Jets already. That's what I think's happening.
No, I'm giving the full story. I'm giving the full details. I'm giving the information that I have at my disposal at the recording time. Now, whether or not that these people continue to be questionable, whether or not they get cleared for the game, okay, that's great. But right now, we're talking about right here, right now. Yes.
Can I have one more question? So, how concerned are you about Josh Reynolds possibly playing or not playing?
I'm very, very concerned. Do you know why I'm very, very concerned about Josh Reynolds' availability? Because we have no wide receivers outside of Garrett Wilson. Garrett Wilson is our number 1, he's our number 2, and he's our number 3. We have Tyler Johnson. Okay, whoop-de-damn-do. We have Arian Smith, rookie. Oh, damn, whoop-de-damn-do. We have Alan Lazard, Stonehands himself, who did catch a touchdown. That technically really wasn't a touchdown because that mother effer dropped that ball. But see how unbiased I am? I can even admit that, yeah, that was not a touchdown. So, listen, Josh Reynolds is very much needed. And just that veteran presence he brings to the wide receiver room is going to be very much lost if he is not on the field. So yes, that's how worried I am about Josh Reynolds. He's an integral part of this offense. Why? Because he knows some of the offensive ins and outs based on our offensive coordinator that he played under in Detroit, along with Aaron Glenn. Yes, Josh Reynolds. Yes. I hope he makes a full recovery. Now, I'm going to start with my New York Jets. I'm going to be totally unbiased. Like this guy thinks I'm really going to just go on a pom-pom spree. No, I'm going to be totally unbiased, right? Well, our defense is trash. We're giving up 31 points per game. We have yet to force a turnover this season. In last week's game against the Buccaneers alone, we had 19, I repeat, 19 missed tackles in one game. Going into our offense is trash too. You know we're averaging 144 yards passing per game. Same old Jets. Aaron Glenn said he's staying away from any such term to describe the way his team played against the Bucs. We are not the same team as everyone says we are. These guys are going to fight. I hate that term. I'm not shaken by this at all, Glenn said. I have a ton of confidence in the guys, that we have and the coaches that we have. But I do know this: we're in a race to improve, and we have to do a good job of that. But when your team plays like trash for 90% of the game, and then it takes a miraculous field goal block, scoop, and return to get said game to our advantage, and then we immediately cough it back up, that is the definition. That is the definition of same old Jets. Last thing on the Jets. The Jets have now scored exactly 0 touchdowns during the first 3 quarters of their last 2 weeks. And when you start slow like that, they will doom you in the NFL. But yeah, this is not the same old Jets. Okay, listen. Win, and maybe, just maybe, things will change. Now, with the Dolphins, I really don't got much to say about them, but this. Since the beginning of last year, Tua and McDaniel, the coach and the quarterback, are 2-10 against playoff teams. Well, you don't have to worry about that because we haven't been a playoff team for 15 years. Critical late game errors cost them once again in losing for the 14th time in 15 meetings against the Buffalo Bills last week. Since leading the Dolphins to the playoffs the first 2 seasons, McDaniel, his team has dropped to 8-12 since their last playoff loss against Kansas City in 2023. Now, for the moment of truth. Will I go against my Jets? No. Jets plus 2.5. Over under. I'm going to go over, and I swear I'm setting myself up for 0-5 this week. I could just smell it. But I'm going to go over based on the fact of 2 games. Well, 1 game in particular last week. There's no way in hell we should have scored 27 points, yet we did. So, points are going to be scored. Yeah, over, and I'm taking the Jets plus the 2.5.
I'm going with the over myself. Both of these defenses look pretty flawed. The Dolphins defense looks really bad. And I'm going to take the Dolphins minus the 2.5 because Tua and company have slowly looked like they are progressing in the right direction. I will say this: whichever team loses this game is in deep, deep trouble. For the Dolphins, it's probably the end of an era. I think that the writing will be completely on the wall about McDonald. And if the Jets lose again, as much as Aaron Glenn talks the positive talk, it's going to be hard to keep that up as they continue losing.
Welcome, everybody, to the Gimmick Infringement podcast. I am Brad Winchester.
And I am Tyler McDowell Blanken. Join us every week on GI, where we talk about what happened in pop culture, our lives, and most importantly, professional wrestling.
All right, moving on to the second game of the Monday night doubleheader. We have the 2-1 Cincinnati Bengals heading to Denver to face the 1-2 Broncos. The projected total is 44.5 points, while the Broncos are 7.5 point favorites. That means Vegas is telling us that the Bengals will score 18.5, while the Broncos score 26. The Bengals' big, huge, tremendous injury, of course, is Joe Burrow. He had surgery on his toe. He's out for 6 weeks, at least. On Denver's side, Evan Ingram, the big tight end signing, has not done much this season because of various injuries, including this back injury, which had him out last week. He's questionable for this week, and he only has 4 catches so far in the season. Mike, Steph, what do you think about this team? Who you got?
Well, I'll start with the Bengals first. Following up on your injury report with Joe Burrow, the assumption by many was that he was going to be able to make at least like the last couple games of the season. Jay Glazer reported on Fox NFL Sunday that Burrow might only have a chance to play again this season if the Bengals reach the playoffs. And even that is not a guarantee. Burrow had surgery on Friday, but the thing is, he has a fully torn tendon in his big toe, along with a ligament and a capsule. Now, as for the team itself, they turned over the ball 5 times against the aforementioned Minnesota Vikings. They committed 3 in a span of 4 first half snaps and allowed a 17-3 deficit to balloon to a 34-3 deficit in the last 1 minute and 47 seconds of that half. The Bengals went into the break with a tie for the largest first half deficit in franchise history. Head coach Zach Taylor put things succinctly in a sideline interview with CBS. Anytime you have 4 turnovers in the first half, 2 for touchdowns, 1 as you're trying to run out the clock, at the end of the half, it's unacceptable, Taylor said. Now, when it goes to Denver, Denver endured a last-second loss for the second consecutive week. A 15-yard penalty helped the Indianapolis Colts 2 weeks ago kick a winning 45-yard field goal in a 29-28 loss. This past Sunday, the Broncos committed 10 penalties for 90 yards. They managed just 9 first downs and with 2 of 13 on third down conversions. After 3 games to start this season, the Broncos find themselves at a 1-2 record and very easily could be, and should be in a lot of ways, 3-0. Through 3 games, the Broncos have scored 8 touchdowns while their opponents have only scored 4 touchdowns, yet they are 1-2. On third downs, the Broncos have converted only 12 of 37 this season for a lowly 32%. That comes in at 21st in the league. Additionally, 5 turnovers, as well as multiple turnovers on downs, have also hampered their ability to sustain drives and score points. Now, how much does this have to do with coaching? How much does this have to do with the quarterback, Nick, still having growing pains? Well, at least he does have a connection with Sutton. He had caught 6 passes for 118 yards and two big catches in the fourth quarter. Now, that line, -7.5 for a team that's 1-2, even though they're at home, can't abide by that. Yeah, I know their defense is doing their job, but their offense isn't doing their job. So I would say Bengals plus 7.5, because even though Jake Browning he does have a problem throwing interceptions, on good days, he still has T. Higgins and he still has Jamar Chase at his disposal, so they should be able to move the ball. They just won't be able to stop people. So plus 7.5, Cincinnati, over under. I'm going over.
For me, the key really here is Jake Browning. He looked horrendous last week. And if this was the only time I had seen him, I would say he's a horrible backup and Denver will destroy them. I think he is a solid to good backup. I expect him to rebound and have a better game this week. And just because of that, I will take Cincinnati plus the 7.5. Do I think they're going to win? Not really. But I think at the very least, they should be able to hold it close. The over-under is much tougher for me at 44.5, because I think that's pretty accurate. I think that's about where the scoring would be. But at the end of the day, I don't really trust Browning that much. And I don't trust Bo Nix's offense that much, at least so far. I got the under, and I got the Bengals plus 7.5. All right, Mike, Steph, take us home.
All right, this has been a very marathon edition of HGF. We'd like to thank each and every one of y'all for making Hidden Gems Football the football podcast y'all choose to view, and the football podcast y'all choose to listen to. Let's get out of here. Until next week, Hidden Gems Football. It's been a podcast. 19 Media Group. Goodbye. Oh, shoot. Damn it. I just knew we was going to get away with not having a damn chicken. You know, sure. I need some chicken for myself.
I was going to forget.
Oh, yeah. I really did. I was hoping you did.
This is a 19 Media Group presentation.
All right. Now let's move on to Mike Steph's premier game of the week. Look, he's so excited he went off the camera.
Yeah, go figure. 2 touchdowns, one to Jalen Waddle, and another one to Tyreek Hill. Yeah, exactly. That would have been hilarious. That would have been hilarious. Oh no, you can scratch that, because that was None of your business.